Hey Aquarius, and welcome to your monthly reading. So this is a collective reading for Aquarius sun or rising signs. So for the month of April 2023. So as always, it's a collective reading. You can always check out, if this is your sun sign, check out your rising sign, or vice versa if you want like to get more of a full picture or to see which one resonates, because obviously it's a collective reading, so we're not going to be able to hit like the specifics for every Aquarius across the world at all times. And you know, I mean, if you do want something really specific and you really want to dive in, then I would say go ahead and book a personal reading with me. The information for that is down in the description box. I do 30, 60, and 90-minute readings, and we go deep. So interesting. So we have the Capricorn showing up. So this card is meant to kind of help us direct the reading to the rest of the cards. You know, even though it's a collective reading, sometimes it can be hard to know, like, well, which area of my life am I supposed to apply this to? So this gives you an idea of like what themes to be looking at, like how you can actually apply this to your life. So we'll get into this in just a moment. Let's also pull from which deck? Which deck do I want to use? I'm going to use this deck for Aquarius. So we're going to take a look at the beginning, middle, and end of the month for Aquarius. So let's take a look here. Beginning, middle, and end of the month. Interesting. Okay. And let's also have a look at what is coming up for your challenge. Fuzz there. And also your spiritual advice that's coming through. Nope, I felt like it was almost there. Almost there. Gotta shuffle it till it feels right, you know? Otherwise, what's the point? And I'm actually feeling this card as well. Interesting. How appropriate though. Okay, so we'll get into that. Let's take a look here for my Aquarians. See what we've got going on. So what area of life can, like, or what themes are coming up for this particular reading? And so what we have showing up here is we have Capricorn. I mean, it says achieve there. That's not totally off, but Capricorn is, you know, a lot of times related to the things that we are creating in this world that have to do with our career, but not just that. I would say with Capricorn, we're looking at you know, what we're dedicated to, like what we are committed to, what we have integrity around, the lessons that we're learning, how we are learning about our own resilience and what we're choosing to create form around. It also can have to do with our boundaries and the kind of structures that we're creating in our life. Now, that can show up in a lot of different ways when we're talking about boundaries and structure, but like those are some of the themes, right? There's a level of integrity that comes through with Capricorn as well. So this is, you know, can be very hard working. This can very be like nose to the grind and like just kind of in it, you know, learning some lessons and like really deep into this process. It's also about like achievement, yes, in some way, like because you're trying to get to the top of the mountain. You're trying to be number one in whatever it is that you're trying to be number one in. So wherever these themes feel like they're really up for you in your life, that's what I would say to pay attention to. So that could be inside of business, that could be inside of love, that could be inside of family, right? It can be inside of a lot of different things. And so apply this where it feels applicable. So I know that is not like a house card, and so those are much easier to say, hey, it's definitely about these things, but you get the idea, like what themes are actually really coming up, and you probably already have a feeling sense of like where in your life this is actually showing up. So we start out the beginning of the month with feeling like there are some big picture questions that are being asked here and that need to be asked. Actually, it's necessary. You know, this is a time to really evaluate for yourself the things that are the most important to you. You know, what is most important to me? How do I want to feel? How do I feel now? What do I want? Do I still want what I've wanted? You know, how does that look going forward? How do I want my life to look and feel on a daily basis? You know, what feels important to me to examine at this time, you know, and when you get into these places where you ask yourself these questions, where you find time to quiet yourself, where you find alone time to do the journaling or have the conversations with friends that are supportive or whatever it is. But I think this is time to be alone with yourself and ask yourself these questions, that the big picture questions are what's coming up for you. And once you get that kind of clarity, the gift inside of this is that your internal guiding light, which is meant to be represented there, your internal guiding light is what helps you through to the next level, to where you're going next in life. And I think that moves in really perfectly with the middle of the month, because in the middle of the month, we have here the Judgment card. And the Judgment card is really about being called into the next iteration of your life and yourself, hearing the call. Like it's like stepping up to a higher vibrational frequency, or to the next level. It's up leveling in a way. And are you going to answer that call, or are you going to ignore it? Right. And so this is probably like, you might be feeling the call forward in certain areas of your life. Again, around the things that you are dedicated to, around the things that matter most to you, that you're creating structures around, because if you're going to start creating structures and boundaries and like being very dedicated to anything in life, whether it's people or projects or whatever it is, you need to be sure that it's in alignment with where you're going next. So you need to ask yourself these big picture questions. If you're going to move forward, if you're going to be called forward, then you better be sure that it's in alignment with you, right? And so we come into the end of the month, and I think that there is like part graduation, part letting go of certain things, right? So we have the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands is definitely speaking to like the things that are, too heavy on your back. You can't carry the world on your shoulders, and you can't do it all on your own. You need to definitely like offload some of that, whether that means delegating out to other people, whether that means just altogether dropping certain things. But you just can't keep on with that load forever. It's going to weigh you down too much. And why I say part graduation is because you could be coming to the end of the month after you've done your internal work, after you've asked yourself the big picture questions, after you've been like, yes, I'm going to step forward. I'm going to up level. I'm going to step into this next iteration of myself in my life. I'm doing this and I'm dedicated to this. And I want to have integrity with this, with what I'm building. And you might come to the end of the month and go, all right, I see clearly now what needs to be done, what needs to, like, what's too heavy for me, what's not mine to carry, what I don't have to carry also, and so where some of this can be shared, so that's the vibe that I see unfolding for you, Aquarius. And then when I look at what's coming up as a challenge, I see the Lovers card coming up as a challenge, right? And that the Lovers card isn't necessarily about love, right? It's not about necessarily a romantic relationship. A lot of people think that immediately because it says the Lovers, but the essence of this card is really about coming together with another person in a way that feels aligned and congruent, where each of you have strengths that the other one is like uplifted by, and that you both grow and become like these, transformed people as a result of being connected and working together in some way, right? Now that can definitely be romantic, and basically like that unlocks this like divine kind of more mature, the transformational kind of union, right? And so yes, that can be relationship. It also can be business partnership. It can also be somebody else very close to you in your world. And when it's in a challenge position like this, it's basically like, hey, this is not in alignment anymore. There's an out of alignment happening here. There is a like disjointed, we're not speaking the same language anymore. Like we're not really benefiting each other's like highest good and like reaching these next levels. Like this will probably become apparent where this energy exists in your world. Now that could be romantic. It could be other people in your world where you're like, yeah, this doesn't fit anymore. This doesn't work, right? It's not to my highest. And the spiritual advice that you're actually getting is like, hey, approach this partially, right? Not completely, but like partially from a place of like, enact whatever philosophies you believe in to help you with processing and moving into the space. Like do this, make these decisions, examine these things, like utilize the beneficial part of our mind, not the overly analytical part where we can get tripped up and totally confused and like overthink things and get stressed out and get nitpicky and all these different things, but more so the strengths that come with being in a space of like groundedness, with our level of thinking and our clarity that comes, like, and approaching things in a very intelligent way, in a philosophical way, right? And also in a very fair way as well, staying true to yourself and what it is that you have discovered here, and, you know, approaching life, approaching this process in this way. Also, it's going to require from you that you have some balance, and that you understand that, like, life balance, it doesn't mean stagnant, stable, non-moving, you know, ground. Like, in order to balance, we have to, like, there's always like a little bit of a pivot and an adjustment. And so in order to work with these different areas of your life, or to work with different energies in your life, however this is showing up, you need to be able to kind of like pivot, to flow, to balance, right? Balance doesn't mean you're in perfect harmony the whole time. Balance can also be talking about, that's so funny, when I looked up at my camera, because I was swaying, it looked like it was swaying, and it threw me off like for a second. But to, like, yeah, it's like you have to like kind of like go, oh, wait a second, let me find a place to focus. Let me also pivot. Let me, you know, widen my perspective, see what's going on here. Like, to know balance is to be in it. And so there might be some adjustment period as you're going through this, and you're weighing different things out, or you're trying to bring together two different parts of your world, or, you know, anything like that. So I would just say, like, take all of this into account, and like really bring this into a place of like deep consideration. You know, just what do you want to be dedicated to? What do you want to step into? These are really big questions. There's a lot here. It just feels very full and rich and big, and you know, just wishing for you to have a lot of clarity as you go through this month. And yeah, if you want to get the full picture, I would say, you know, check out your rising sign, or check out your previous moon reading from the end of March, which is up in a playlist, or you can check out in a few days. I will have another moon reading out for your sign to kind of like see what the progression is and get some insight there, and how to work with the moon energies as well. So hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you know when things are coming out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.